it's lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe a certified pimp. He's so fly. Oh yes he is. I mean that boy does the shit. He's a mess he is. Fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare or get next to him because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean. From his white tee on down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
All right, what is good, everybody? It's your man's Ken Jackson. This is the Ken Jackson Experience. Yep, it's been a while. I haven't really been on here doing much of anything lately. Actually, it's been about 2 weeks since I did a regular broadcast, and that's on purpose. Because truth be told, I've been lazy as fuck. I haven't been wanting to do anything lately. I've been procrastinating and thinking about doing something, and I get started and just before I get ready to go live, I change my mind. I don't feel like it. You know, it's kind of fucked up when you reach 60 and because you don't feel like doing work. You definitely don't want to work anymore. And right now, everything feels like work. It's crazy. You know, I keep telling myself I want to get serious about this broadcasting thing, but for some reason, it's just hard to get my motivation up. But anyway, there is a lot going on, as always. The world is going crazy. But tonight we're talking about this guy, Pete Hegseth. That's right. Our Secretary of Defense. And he's at it again. And he's remaining defiant with this signal chat bullshit going on and him giving away military secrets and it's just ridiculous. Why is this dude even in there? We knew he wasn't qualified when he was confirmed, but yet Republican-controlled Congress put him in there anyway. This guy has absolutely no business running Department of Defense. And other things going on is, Trump trying to get rid of the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, even though Trump does not have the authority to fire Jerome Powell. He's definitely not giving a damn about the law or the Constitution or anything in regards to how he's conducting his administration's business. When is enough going to be enough? When is enough going to be enough? I don't even want to, really talk too much about Donald Trump. I am concerned, though, about Hegseth. He's a drunk, allegedly, and he definitely, like we said before, doesn't have the qualifications to hold the position that he's holding. But we got what we got because 1/3 of the country decided to stay home during this last election or to vote for a third party who had no chance in hell of winning, and because they didn't want to vote for the black woman. Let me tell you something. We would have been so much better off with Kamala in the Oval Office. Fuck what you say. Fuck what you heard. I don't care what you think. Hell, Mickey Mouse would have been better than Donald Trump. This clown got a second term, and this is why we got guys like Pete Hegseth running DOD. that's a scary thought. Hell, I did 10 years in the Navy, and if Pete Hegseth could be DOD, I could be DOD. I probably got more experience than he does. Definitely got more supervisory experience, owning and running small businesses over the past few years and, actually supervising people. Nothing as big as a DOD, but like I said, if Pete Hegseth could be the head of the DOD, I could. Hell, you could. Anybody could. And this is what has me troubled, is because remember when Donald Trump was talking about the immigrants coming and taking the black jobs? Remember that? Remember? But then he replaced our top military commander, who was a black man, a 4-star general. Trump replaced him with a retired, lower-ranking white guy. In fact, Trump's entire cabinet is a bunch of billionaire white guys, a few white ladies, and one black guy who leads up what department? HUD, Housing and Urban Development. I guess that's the only black job that exists in the Trump administration. So, needless to say, we're in trouble. We have a dictatorship going on here in the United States, and then we have a cast of clowns, heading up the most critical departments and agencies within our government, and they are taking us straight to hell. But here's my biggest problem, though, with Pete Hegseth. He has no, contrary to popular belief, he doesn't have the military experience to hold the position that he's in. And the fact that he's using the Signal app to relay sensitive information regarding military operations lets you know he has absolutely no business in the position that he's in. You want to talk about DEI hire? Pete Hegseth is a DEI hire. Didn't earn it, as I heard from, what was her name? Jasmine Crockett. Didn't earn it. That's what she says. And it's true. This guy is going to destroy our military in every sense of the word. I think our military is probably going to be our saving grace. I was reading earlier today that a military commander was relieved of his duty because he took down pictures of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance from the command board. So I think it's happening. I think slowly but surely military minds are coming together and realizing that they're going to be the ones that have to do something. I hate to think it. I hate to see that happen. But what other choices do we have now? The Republican-controlled Congress is just giving up all of their power and authority to Donald Trump. Here we are. They're supposed to be a co-equal branch of government. They're supposed to be keeping the checks and balances against the White House. We also have a corrupt Supreme Court who is basically giving Donald Trump carte blanche by basically saying presidents are immune from prosecution while holding office. And after leaving office, for that matter. I never could understand that. I never could understand why DOD presents a memo that says a sitting president will not be prosecuted. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm no rocket scientist. I am no political science major. But I always thought that our system of government was set up so that we would have these checks and balances, and I don't understand why a president of the United States feels like they have to have immunity from prosecution. Bro, if you don't break the law, you don't have to worry about being prosecuted. But here we are, arguably the most powerful nation, the wealthiest nation on the planet, and we got a 34-time convicted felon in charge. Think about that. Let that sink in. The so-called, we're supposed to be the beacon of the world. We're supposed to be the guiding light, the shining example of freedom and liberty and fair play. And here we are with a convicted felon holding the most powerful office in the land. Does that make any... I mean, think about it. Donald Trump couldn't get a job at McDonald's with his criminal record, but he can be president? Does this make any sense whatsoever? Hell no. But that's what we got, y'all. That's what we got. Anyhow, something has to be done. What? I don't know. I'm not even sure if we have the capacity anymore to do anything about it. Like I said, I think it's going to be up to the military to take our country back. It's something I hope I don't see in my lifetime. But I don't think it's so far-fetched now. After what's been going on the past, 16 years, nothing would surprise me. Are we headed for another civil war in this country? Quite possibly. We could possibly be headed for a civil war. Would that be a good outcome? Definitely not. It's not going to be good for anybody. We really, really, really need to figure out what it is that needs to be done to get this country back on track. Hold on, let me check here and see what's going on with my feed. You know, I started using this new platform last week to stream with. It's called ep2. Go get it if you're looking to get into streaming. It's not free, unfortunately, but it's worth every penny. But I started using this new platform, which enables us to stream to a few different platforms all at once. There we go. Yeah, it's working. So right now we're streaming to Facebook Live and to YouTube, which is dope. Looking forward to adding a few more outlets and doing our thing. But anyhow, thank you all for joining in tonight. For those of you that have joined in or will join in, I can actually take a phone call or two tonight if you happen to want to talk to me. There's the number on the screen, 772-828-7189. You know, was on TikTok earlier this week, and when I go on TikTok, I get a lot of haters, mostly Trump supporters. TikTok is like a haven for everything controversial, political, religious. It's just crazy stuff. But you know what? I get my biggest numbers on TikTok. I didn't even start using TikTok until this past December. I was like adamantly against it, and then like I finally signed up, and then like a week after I signed up, it got banned, that temporary ban, and I thought it was going to go away. I really did think it was going to go away, so I deleted the app, and then I had to wait until the ban was lifted temporarily, and then I was able to re-download it, and I got back on there. But I get some good numbers on TikTok, and I don't really do shit. I make some, short clips and posts, with things that catch my eye throughout the week, and post it up, and it really, really gets some great traction on TikTok. So I don't know if it doesn't go away again. Hopefully, we can utilize it to do bigger things. Right here with Crazy Baby TV World and the Ken Jackson Experience. But we got a lot in store. I spent a lot of years in the music and entertainment industry, and I want to kind of get back to some of that. Not on the production side, not on the management side, but more promotions and presentations, and maybe bringing some bringing new talent to the forefront. I don't want to be involved with helping to build careers anymore. That shit's played out. I spent a lot of years as a studio owner and production company owner, and it was good. We had a lot of good years, but that shit got played out. After about 25 years of music production and management, I got sick and tired of dealing with artists on a daily basis. But now I don't mind, offering some promotional opportunities. So we're probably going to be doing some interviews here. We used to do this thing heavy, though, back in the day, like 15 years ago. We used to be heavy, out here in these streets, interviewing celebrities and independents alike, But for those of you that know me from the industry, I've always been an advocate of independent music. And, so I was kind of happy to see the major labels collapse. And I put in some time in a couple of major labels. I've done some work for several major labels, who I shall not mention here, because it doesn't matter anymore. One thing you got to understand about the entertainment business, for those of you that don't, is you're only as relevant as your last hit. And if it's not relevant anymore, then you're not relevant anymore. And that's why a lot of these artists get out here and they do these ridiculous antics, because they're trying to remain relevant. And the industry is nasty. The entertainment industry is still a nasty business to be involved in. There ain't no love. It's just like the streets. They don't love you at all. All they care about is what they can make from you. But the internet has leveled the playing field, and it has allowed small players, independent players, to level up their game and actually become international superstars all on their own. You know what I'm saying? So I saw it way back when digital recording became a thing, and I was one of the first ones in our area here in South Florida to actually start recording into a computer directly. And I didn't really have the equipment to do it properly. We nigger rigged some shit, but it worked. And I used to tell people all the time, this is the next big thing, man. This digital recording is going to be hot because you could put your songs together faster and edit them and master them and have them out. I mean, it got to the point where artists were dropping new songs every other day, it seemed like. And it happened. Then downloading and digital distribution started to take off, and artists, found out that they didn't need the record labels anymore. They didn't need to get that big record deal. And there's still a few out here now searching for record deals, hoping to get that big check, that big advance. But that shit is rare. It's like an extinct animal now. It's not really happening anymore. And if you're not pursuing an independent career, utilizing the tools that are available to you now, then you're just an idiot, and you're gonna miss out. When I started doing Crazy Baby TV, literally 15 years ago, people didn't understand it. Nobody did. Hell, I didn't understand it. I was just like, yo, I think we can do this. You know what I mean? And I got involved by I linked up with a who's now an old friend of mine, who was heavy in the radio, and she invited us out to cover film festivals and red carpet events all over South Florida. I was doing photography and some videography for her show, and she got hooked up with an internet TV show down in Palm Beach, and their little network was dope, man. They had a little studio down in Lake Worth, and we would go there every week, and she would have like a 1 hour program, and they would stream it directly to. They had a closed system on the internet, in which you had to purchase one of their decoder boxes in order to watch their channel. But I learned so much, watching, what they were doing, and I was like, wow. I said, you know what? I said, this might be something big, so I went out and I bought some camera gear and got my internet game up, and several artists that I was managing back then, I turned them into internet TV hosts, and we went all over the place. We were hitting every event that came to South Florida between Orlando and Miami, and we were interviewing artists and business people and influencers from that time, 10, 15 years ago. And it was cool, man. It was, and I told people then, I said, yo, this internet TV thing is going to be huge. And they was like, man, what is that? What the fuck is internet TV? And all I could say was, it's television on the internet. I said, because back in the day, if you wanted to broadcast, you had to get hooked up with an actual TV station, and they had to, they were licensed, and you had to pay all these high ass licensing fees and bullshit, just to get access. And it was crazy. If you didn't have satellite feeds, nobody was going to be watching you. But the internet changed all of that. Man, next thing you know, people had webcams, and they was like, yo, I can get on here and I can do a Zoom meeting or whatever, and then the Zoom meetings and the Google Meets turned into seminars online, and next thing you know, filmmakers were shooting independent movies and hosting their movies on their own websites and shit. And then the pandemic hit. Shit went crazy after that. Everybody and their mama got a show. But it's crazy because I was in deep back then and just didn't stay consistent. I fell off. Plus, a lot of I got sick, started having some medical issues and shit, and old age is catching up to me now. I'm not as energetic as I used to be. But guess what? I still made the investment, in gear, so that I could, do my little one-man thing. And here we are now. Now my only drawback now is I'm a procrastinator, and I bet a lot of you are too. So so don't front. We all have our moments where we just don't want to do shit. And I'm guilty of that most days. But I'm trying to get my mojo back. I've been out of commission for quite a while, so I'm and I've learned enough to do what I need to do, but it's just a matter of getting the motivation. I never wanted to be on camera myself anyway. I don't like the way I sound. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the feel of looking into a camera, and coming up with shit to talk about, every day or every week or however, we end up, doing this thing on a more consistent level. I think I want to do something every day. I was leaning toward once a week, for a long time, but now I don't have shit going on. I was forced into retirement, forced to sell my studio business some years ago, actually. And a lot of this gear that I have was sitting around collecting dust, not doing anything. And, I actually have enough gear to set up probably 3 studios right now. And it's crazy, So I said, you know what? I spent a lot of money on this shit. I may as well put it to use. So I started, developing this channel. And here we are. Put up the new website just a couple of days ago. Working on our new domain name, because we're not going to be Crazy Baby well, the corporation is going to be reestablished as Crazy Baby TV World, but the website's going to be the Ken Jackson Experience. I don't know if we're gonna do .com or .tv. I'm still talking to my manager, because I do have a manager, and she's going to. I'm going to let her make the final decision on whether it's going to be .tv or .com or .org or whatever the fuck. If we decide to do a nonprofit or something, I just don't know. Right now, I just want to focus on putting the finishing touches on this show and figuring out if I'm going to be the face or if I'm going to audition somebody else to actually lead it. But if it remains the Ken Jackson Experience, then I guess I got to do it. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, maybe some of y'all might like what I have to talk about in the near future, and maybe not. Whether you do or you don't really doesn't matter, as long as you engage. And that's all I'm asking. Just engage. Subscribe to the channel. It doesn't mean you got to watch it every day. But subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell, because you never know. I might pop on one day with something that really might be of interest to you. And the best part of it is it doesn't cost a dime. Not a single penny. you can check my website right now. You can find the link on. Oh, excuse me. Oh man, here we get one of those itches in your ear. But you can check the link on Facebook, Instagram. I put it out on my Twitter feed, or not Twitter. I'm not fucking with Twitter or X or whatever the fuck they call it. I am on Blue Sky, and everything's Crazy Baby TV World. You can find me on all social media. That's important to me, and hopefully to you. We're just going to see what happens. I don't really have a plan. I don't really have an end goal. I just want to come on and talk. Y'all that know me know I like to talk. I like to talk shit. I like to debate. And I don't mind being on the wrong side of a debate. I will happily play the devil's advocate, just because I think, it creates good conversation. And like anybody else, though, I have my opinions about certain things, and I'm strong-willed, I'm strong-minded, just like you should be, hopefully. And we can have some. I think we can have some healthy, hearty debates right here on this show. I don't really want to do too much ratchet shit, but maybe I will. I just don't know. I'm just, going where the wind takes me, and we're just going to play around and figure it out as we go along. So, so many people, I think, overthink it. I'm a member of several groups, podcasting groups, and oh, yeah, I got to shave this mustache. But some of the groups I'm a member of, we get a lot of questions on, how should I start? What equipment should I buy? And this, that, or the other. And it really, really doesn't take a lot. I mean, I got a lot of bullshit because I've spent the last few years just buying equipment, that I like to have, but if you really want to get into podcasting or internet broadcasting or whatever, use what you got. That smartphone in your hand is really all you need, literally, to get started. You got on these smartphones now some of the best cameras available. And there's a lot of apps out there, free apps and paid apps that you can use. YouTube will let you live stream directly through the YouTube app. I don't know if they still have the restrictions, in terms of how many subscribers or whatever you need to have. But if so, then I'm bucking the system because I don't have a lot of subscribers. I get a lot of random viewers, on different events, but, this is, the algorithm is not friendly to me, unfortunately, but it will, as I become more consistent in my thing, so I know exactly why I don't have the viewership that I should have or that I would like to have because I wasn't putting in the work. But I put in work for like 30 years, 30 plus years in entertainment. So I'm kind of tired right now. So forgive me for not being as motivated as I should be. But anyway, I mean, if this is something that you want to do, it's not hard, y'all. You just got to do it. Use what you got. I used to say the same thing in the music business, because it didn't take much to record a song. I've had people come into my studio, and this, 5-6 years ago, toward the end of our studio career, or my studio career. Had people come in with everything recorded, produced, edited, all on their iPhone. You know what I mean? Video shot, music produced, recorded, everything done on their mobile device. So nowadays, at this time that we live in now, if you can't get something done, that's just an excuse. That's just you being lazy. There's no way you can't get it done now. And it's not hard. Technology has come so far since we first started. When I first started, in music, we was pushing cassette tapes, and we was recording on reel to reel, tape, and that shit had to be cut and spliced, and it was something different back then. Now, people walking around with supercomputers in the palm of their hands. In fact, it was crazy. The other day I was reading an article and they were talking about the Apollo missions to the moon. And I used to be a big advocate of the moon landings. I have to admit, lately I'm starting to feel a little skeptical about whether or not they actually landed on the moon. And I'm not one to listen to listen to conspiracy theories, but I'm just basing it off, research that I've been doing myself lately, and I'm starting to think the moon landings might have been a Hollywood production. You know what I mean? Because there's been a lot of countries these past few years, launching probes and, trying to land these probes on the moon. And I don't know, for some reason, these probes are having such a hard time, making it there. And when they make it there, they're having even a harder time landing, in an upright position. But you're going to tell me that back in the 60s and in the early 70s, we went there, 8, 9 times, that we supposedly landed men on the moon with computers who had less computing power than a modern day calculator. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical now because it seems like it's damn near impossible, for them to, why is it so hard to duplicate something that we supposedly did back in the 60s and the early 70s? Here we are, we're in the 21st century with all of this laser and digital technology and the technology now is light years beyond what we were using back then, and they can't duplicate a moon landing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm starting to disbelieve in the moon landings, and it just doesn't make sense to me because I look up in the sky at night and it's like the moon is right there. It's right there. And they said we had all of these landings, back in the day, and now they can't go back. Explain that to me, please. Somebody explain that to me. Drop something in the comments and explain to me why it's so difficult for us to return to the moon if we went in the first damn place. All right, so. What else? There's just so much that I want to do. I'm thinking about doing something kind of crazy before the end of this year, maybe this summer. When summer, actually hits. I've been thinking about taking about a month over the summer and living as a homeless person. I got some ideas about being able to live as a homeless person and actually be comfortable. I've watched a lot of videos on people living the no bad life, people living in their cars, campers, tents, so forth and so on. I grew up camping, and camping was something that I really enjoyed. My dad used to take us camping. I mean, we've been camping all over the country, and hunting and fishing. And my dad taught us so much about, being able to function off grid. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking, I said, you know what? We're here in South Florida, and a lot has changed here in Florida, but there's still, one thing that we're good for in Florida is the weather. And if you got to be homeless, Florida is the place to be. Florida, Southern California, Arizona, places like that. But Florida, especially because Florida is like a produce state. We're a big produce producer, but we have a lot of wild edibles here, fruit. There's water all around us, so you can go fishing. Probably the biggest hindrance for a homeless person here is being able to get clean. But all of our beaches got showers, so you could literally go take a shower at the beach. You can go jump in the ocean, and get yourself detoxified in the salt water. And then there's freshwater showers, at the beach parks. You can walk up there and, nobody would know. You'd be like, hey, just got out the ocean. Gonna shower off. Grab you some soap and wash your ass, And like I said, the weather is great most of the time. We do have our rainy season. It gets blistering hot in the summertime. But you can survive, and I think if you could, you learn the lay of the land, you could probably do pretty well. And I know a lot of homeless folks here locally. Some of them, are raggedy as fuck because they got issues going on, drug addicts, alcoholics. But there's a lot of people that are homeless here that are just straight up down on their luck. But if you see them in public, you would never know they were homeless. You would never know because they keep themselves clean. They figured out the cheat code on how to get clean, how to get decent looking clothes. They keep themselves clean shaven, and groomed, well. And I was like, wow. I said, and when I met a few of these people, when I first met them, I had no idea they were homeless. And I don't even like to say homeless. I'll just say shelterless, because in my opinion, home is wherever you lay your head down, and you can call home anywhere. You know what I mean? But there are a lot of people here in South Florida camping, in the woods. And not even in remote woods. I'm talking about in like wooded areas near, nice housing communities and shit, and they'll pitch a tent, out, in the trees where, they can't be seen, by the public. And I've checked out a few of them, and some of them are living pretty damn good. You'd be surprised. So I thought about, taking a month and exploring that part of our society, because there are a lot of people now who are not able to afford, what many of us would consider a home. Apartments and rents are ridiculously out of reach for most people now. I don't know how some people are making it. I really don't. And forget about buying something, because the banks aren't going to give you a loan, because probably 90% of the people's credit is fucked up. And if you do have good credit here in Florida, you're still not going to get shit, because you can't get insurance for your property. A lot of the insurance carriers have pulled out of Florida because we're hurricane risk. Even though we haven't had a major hurricane, actually cross the state since 2004. We've had a couple of big storms, skirt, our western coast, and a couple of the towns over there have experienced, some disasters. Yeah, but not as much so as the Gulf states, not as much so as the East Coast states, Carolinas, and those moving north. Florida gets missed by most of the hurricanes that spawn out here. And then we're built better for it anyway. We got the strictest building codes in the country when it comes to storms. So I think, Florida's not a bad place to live, other than our Republican government has everything screwed up. But it's a tax-free state. We don't have state income taxes. There are sales taxes that are countywide, and although I don't like the governor here, he's proposing on getting rid of property taxes as well. Which I think is good, because why should you have to continue to pay taxes on a house that you bought? You can pay your mortgage off, but then you got to pay taxes the rest of your life. And if you don't pay the taxes, they'll come take your home away. Another thing I think they should eliminate too is mandatory insurance. I think the whole insurance industry is a racket, especially when it comes to vehicles, because you're basically required by law to get robbed by whatever the insurance companies are offering just to be able to operate a motor vehicle. And don't get me wrong, I think, insurance, when it's utilized properly, is a good thing. I think liability, liability insurance can definitely be a good thing if you happen to be at fault, or even if somebody else is at fault. However, I don't think it should be something that's mandated by law. I think we should have the choice on whether or not we want to get insurance or not. And if we choose not to, and then whatever happens falls on us, One thing that I talk about a lot is, is owning your life and owning your choices, because a lot of people, are in a certain point, at a certain point in their lives, and they're not happy. And they feel like they've been dealt a bad hand, and the luck hasn't been on their side. But we're all where we're at because of the choices we've made. We really are. I don't care who you are. You made decisions and choices along the way that brought you to this point in your life. You know, I can own mine. I'm very happy in my life, though. I'm content, you know, with where I'm at, because I know that I'm where I'm at because of what I did in the past. And you got to keep in mind, you could do something today that may not affect your life for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years down the road. And you gotta think about every decision that you make. Should you go left when you should be going right, or vice versa? Should you stop instead of going? You know, pause for a little bit, take a break. Everything that happens in our lives happens because we made a choice in something. You know what I mean? We can't blame anybody else for our misfortune and our success, you know, because, you know, we all make decisions about what we want to do with ourselves. And when you make a decision, you got to own that decision, no matter what the outcome is. And if the outcome is not what you wanted, you got to think about why. Think about the choice you made. Think about the moves you made to get to that point. And you have to remember those mistakes so that you don't make those mistakes again as you move forward. Because we got a lot of people in this world that are habitual fuck ups, and they don't fuck up on purpose. I don't think they're trying to be fuck ups. I know I've made a lot of bad choices in my life. I didn't do it because I wanted to make a bad choice. I made those choices because I thought it was the right choice at the time, you know. But when you're wrong, and you have to own it, and you have to understand that because you made certain choices and decisions, you know, certain consequences come with that. You know, one of the biggest things I rant on is people talking about, yeah, I accidentally got her pregnant. It wasn't an accident because you laid down on purpose. And you laid down without taking the precautions that you should have taken. And even if you did take the precautions, you still laid down on purpose. So there's no such thing as an accident, because that's something that is totally within your control. You cannot have a baby if you decide that you're not going to do the things to create a baby. That's real. It's foolproof. Don't want to have a baby? Don't do the things to make a baby. Plain and simple. You know what I mean? And that goes with every decision that we make in life. Whenever you decide to do something, you got to think of what the possible consequences will be. If I do this, what could happen? If I don't do this, what could happen? And then you got to make up your mind on whether or not you're going to go forward one way or the other. See, in my opinion, there is no gray area. It's this way or this way. It's black or white. You know what I'm saying? It's left or right. And you know, so whatever you decide, you got to be willing. You have to be fully willing to suffer the consequences that may come with the decisions that you make. And only then will you understand what life really is and what it's about. Because a lot of people go through life in denial. I don't understand why this happened to me. I don't know why. I don't know why. Why? Because you made a certain choice and that was one of the possible outcomes. and that's it. Life ain't that complicated. It really isn't. Humans make life complicated. We make this entire world complicated. The politics, the religion, the bickering, prejudice, racism, classism, all of the isms. We created that shit. You know what I'm saying? Nature is perfect. Nature doesn't make mistakes. Humans do. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's fucked up in the world has one common denominator. People. Let that shit sink in. We're the cause and we're the effect. I'm starting to think too that humans are probably the cancer of the world. We might be the cancer in the universe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we haven't found aliens because they're hiding from us. They're probably sitting back saying, "Man, these fucking humans are stupid." These primitive assholes are going to destroy themselves, but and they might destroy us if we let them, blend into our society. Because when you think about it, we're supposed to be so smart, but we are the most destructive creatures. We are the most destructive elements on this planet. We knowingly kill ourselves, dumping chemicals into the environment, literally killing each other, warfare, selling weapons to each other so that others can kill each other. This is what humans do. We're kind of fucked up. I'm starting to dislike us. And I try myself personally, I try to be the best person I can be. I don't bother nobody. I mind my business. I don't care what the next man's got going on unless it's affecting me directly. Like our government. I got strong opinions about our government because what our government does affects me directly. Affects this whole world that we live in. So we got to speak up about that. We got to take action and do something about that. But in general, just living life every day. I do my best to stay out of everyone else's way. Hell, I'm trying to get out of my own damn way. You know what I'm saying? Because my life could have been totally different had I made a few different choices along the way. But don't get me wrong, I'm not unhappy with how my life turned out. A lot of people are, unfortunately. But hey, be honest with yourself. Your life turned out the way it did because of the choices you made. Plain and simple. And as long as we're living, we're going to continue to make choices and have to make decisions that will affect our futures moving forward. Now, I don't know how much more time I got left in this world. I definitely know I got more days behind me than I got ahead of me. But I'm going to spend the rest of my days trying to be the best person I can be. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try to enjoy what I have left in this existence, and I don't know what's next. But if there is something next, I hope it's something good. If it's something that we have to earn, I hope I've earned my way into something better. I don't know. None of us knows. But while we're here, we all need to do the best that we can to be good stewards of the planet, and of society, So anyway, that's enough of my boring ass rant today. I will see y'all Sunday, 9 p.m. Well, I'll probably see you before then. But in the meantime, everybody, stay safe out there. Be mindful of how your choices, may affect someone else. And mind your own goddamn business, Really, mind your own business. Be helpful if somebody asks you for help, but don't impose your ways on someone else. Let people be, just like you want to be let be, if that makes any goddamn sense. All right, so I'm your man's Ken Jackson. This has been the Ken Jackson Experience. Just a random rants and commentary tonight. Because I need this therapy for myself. Sometimes I just got to get shit off my mind, and it don't always make sense, but it makes sense to me. All right, so till next time, I love y'all, everybody. Hopefully we'll all wake up and get to enjoy another tomorrow, and I'll see you next time. Peace. I'm out.